Episode 15. How is Nuyorican poetry a popular sign of Puerto Rican identity? A multiplicity of voices speaking in one breath. The Nuyorican movement redefined itself and found a voice amid the in-between of the city and the island life, the Spanish and the English, and the status of not being Puerto Rican or American enough. From Loisaida, Lower East Side to Spanish Harlem, the Nuyorican movement came to represent not only the struggles of Puerto Ricans faced in working-class New York City, but also the pride they had in their language, culture, and Caribbean identities. A tradition of poets, writers, artists, and musicians, the movement's work spoke to the social, political, and economic issues Puerto Ricans faced in New York City in the 1960s and 1970s. The works decried the rampant discrimination they faced in schools and workplaces, the lack of economic opportunities, poor living conditions, and the general marginalization of their community. But they also tell stories of rebellion, resistance, endurance, and embracing their Afro-Caribbean and indigenous Caribbean identities in the midst of these struggles. As scholar Mireya Navarro mentions, many young Nuyorican writers said they were driven to poetry by racist encounters in mostly white schools, by witnessing injustices suffered by family members or neighbors at the hands of the police, landlords, or welfare workers, and by the need to express themselves, to prove, as one poet said, that I was a human being. Though there are many ways in which the Nuyorican movement has been remembered, its byproducts are irrefutable, popular signs of Puerto Rican and Nuyorican culture, experiences, and survival in the mid to late 20th centuries and beyond. Established in 1973, a hallmark of the arts community in New York City, the Nuyorican Poets Cafe is one of the few spaces that has withstood the test of time in New York's ever-changing neighborhoods. Standing in Loisaida, a once Puerto Rican neighborhood, it carries on the tradition as an irrefutable Nuyorican and Puerto Rican venue that holds space for other Latinos and members of the slam poetry community. It all began in a living room salon in the East Village apartment of one of its founders, Miguel Algarin. When the space became too small, they moved to different locations and ultimately moved to East 3rd Street, where it officially became the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, a multicultural art space for poetry, music, live radio broadcasts, theater, and more. The weekly gatherings were attended by poets, playwrights, and musicians whose work became central to what characterized Nuyorican poetry and led to the publishing of Nuyorican Poetry, an anthology of Puerto Rican words and feelings, in 1975. Though there are playwrights and novelists, more attention is paid to the poets and poetry of the movement as they helped mobilize Nuyorican activism, such as the Young Lords Party. The notable writers and poets that founded this movement include Jorge El Coco Brandon, frequently referred to as the father of Nuyorican poetry, Lucky Cienfuegos, Sandra Maria Esteves, Magdalena Gomez, Tato Laviera, Pedro Pietri, called the Poet Laureate of the Nuyorican movement and author of Puerto Rican Obituary, P.D. Thomas, author of the memoir Down These Mean Streets, and many others. By successfully identifying themselves and their work as Nuyorican, harboring their art and identity at the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, and welcoming and producing narratives in Spanish, English, and Spanglish, the legacy and vision of the Nuyorican movement pioneers will ripple through time as they were able to legitimize the New York Puerto Rican culture.